Good afternoon.
Aloha, council members. My name is Dennis Callan, and it's an honor to be here today sharing my opinions with you. I've been involved with this issue, like many of you, for 30 years since it first came up in our community. Living on this island for 40 years, while I've done a lot of traveling around the world. And during these travels, I've had the opportunity to actually ride on 41 different rail rapid transit systems, which has given me a fairly unique perspective on the overall picture. I'd say I've ridden on a large share of the transit systems in the Western world and some in Asia. And from this picture, I would conclude that rail transit is a wonderful thing in cities where it's appropriate. It really works in most of the places that I've ridden it, because those cities are large cities with high-density populations and well-developed CBDs, urban cores, unlike Honolulu, unlike Oahu. To just compare a Vancouver system and say we should do this here, a San Diego system, oh, it works great there, we should transplant it here, is not possible. Hawaii is a special place. Oahu is different than any place else. And as a community, we have chosen to develop a low-density residential pattern of suburban sprawl. This is not a good pattern for building a high-capacity rail system. Instead, alternatively, an expanded bus system would serve our conditions much better than a concentrated rail system. The question really comes down to, should we build a busway or a railway? We can all agree we have a horrific traffic problem, and that just simply adding more buses will not solve it. Adding another lane for cars will not solve it. We can toss those false arguments out. The question is busway or railway? And unfortunately, the alternatives analysis didn't give a fair look at the busway alternative. Therefore, I think you should continue looking into that as an alternative and not rush to make any decision at this time. If you do make a decision now in terms of rail, in favor of rail, it would be premature and I think the wrong decision. If such a decision is made, then the public only has one option left, and that would be to try and do an initiative campaign to change that decision. And that's a possibility that we as a public should look into. It's such a big issue with such a split in our community that perhaps a public vote would be the best way to decide this issue once and for all. The only way for a public vote is through initiative campaign. So we're taking some steps to perhaps prepare the groundwork for such a movement. If anybody is interested out there watching or here today, you can contact us at a new site, rail or bus.
Thank you.
At googlegroups.com.
Thank you. Members, any questions?
Thank you.
Councilmember Kobayashi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Callan. I cut your article out. That was in the paper. I have it on my desk.
Thank you.
I was interested in this busway. What other cities? Can you name a few where it's been successful?
Well, of course, the Tampa example comes up time and again.
But that's not really a fixed guideway busway. It's just a special lane for buses.
Mm-hmm. An elevated structure. In fact, there are not any other fine examples that I can point to. We're looking into the future and developing new solutions as new technology develops and new ideas develop.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Cachola.
Who do you represent?
Oh, I'm speaking as an individual.
And the rest?
I don't work for the city. Speaking for myself as a citizen.
It seems that your analysis indicate to me that you have a background in planning as well as maybe a rail. Do you have?
I studied urban planning at the university as a graduate student for a while, and yes, I've got that perspective. And social science I've studied, and I've been a keen student of this issue. It's a fascinating issue that's affecting all of us, and So I read all the reports that I can get my hands on, that I have time for, and the newspaper articles, of course. I try and stay informed about it.
It seems that you question the report, that it's quite deficient, or there's some deficiency in the report.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name
Well, for example,
some of those deficiencies?
Yeah, the whole ridership projection is kind of a magic game to try and predict how many riders there will be. It's really kind of fake science when you get right down to it. An example would be on the elevated busway, the managed lane. They were talking about a 2-lane structure, whereas you could well have a 3-lane structure that would have far greater capacity. Just one example.
Yeah, because I think we have the Transportation Advisory Task Force, and they might be interested in some of your comments.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.